Hi all, it's Kylie from Kylie's Cardcraft. Thanks for joining me again today. We're going to do a cover. I want to show you just, start again. These are boxes. So I like doing journals, all sorts of different sizes. I never stick to the one size. If I can find something, be it an old book to use a cover, or in this case, boxes that are a different size and shape, I'll always jump at it. Now, my husband gets a magazine subscription to build the Titanic, and gets each month these boxes, which he kindly gives to me. I think it's so that he doesn't have to pack them up, but, you know. And all I do is I will trim off the edge of one, because they're boxes like that have a flap on each end. But they're great little sturdy boxes. So, you know, we've got different sizes here, from bigger ones to smaller ones, all sorts of ones. And I just stack them all up, and I keep them in my little container over there where I keep my ready for journal covers and things like that, where I've had old books that are ready to just use the covers, etc. So what I'm doing here is one of those. So I've started my journal. It's going to have 2 signatures. Now, when I sew in signatures, sometimes I sew them in before I've decorated them. So they're just all my papers all sorted, all sorts of bits and bobs in there. Sometimes I will have most of my decorating done, especially when I want to stamp, because it's easier to stamp if I can take these out. Okay, so I'm going to do one where it's already decorated. It still hasn't got my tags or anything in it, because I don't want too much bulk when I'm sewing them in. But a lot of my stamping has been done bits and pieces like that. So we've got one of each, just to prove that it makes no difference really in doing it. It's only if you're going to stamp that you need to stamp or stencil, that you need to think prior. So this is what we're left with. There goes Bertha, sorry. My journal cover is 7 inches high, and my sides a bit over 3 inches. So it gives me nice little sized journal. So if I sit those in there, so you can see that that's already sitting out like that. I haven't done the second signature, and I haven't put my tags and tickets and ephemera and all that in yet. So as per normal, it's going to be a gator mouth, because that's just what I do. Can't help myself. So to start with, what we're going to do is our outside cover. I'm going to sit those ones aside so that I'm going to sew my signatures straight into this. I'm not doing a hidden spine this time. I do have another video where I've got a hidden spine. You'll find that further on. If I can remember to put the link in, I'll put the link in for that. This one is just sewn straight in to the actual cover. When you're using these sorts of ones, take off some of the extras. So that's why I pulled these ones out. See this? I will peel this off, which is what you can see here, just so it doesn't give an extra bump to my paper. Take off your sticky, if you've got sticky tape on there, because also that way the glue doesn't necessarily like to stick, especially if you're using a glue stick. It doesn't always want to stick to your sticky tape, because it's that shiny surface. Okay, so make sure your cover is nice and clean. That bit should be fine, but we'll just see if we can get him off anyway without taking too much of the cover off. There we go. You'll notice I've got no fingernails. 2 weeks back at work, I've got no fingernails, so we'll struggle on as best we can. So this is my outside. What I want to do first is work out what I want my front cover to be. Now, I have move all those. I have a binder that I've marked background sheets. So they're just odd digitals that are not necessarily from ranges and things like that. A lot of these will come from Graphic Fairy, where you can just find backgrounds. There'll be some Artsology in there. There'll be some other brands in there as well. But anything that's a full cover type thing, I will put in this as backgrounds. So they work when I'm doing a larger sheet, as a cover, things like that. So first up, we're going to choose our cover. So I've got lots, that's nice. I've got lots of different bits and pieces depending on what. And you can see that that will fit and give me enough to fold over. So here's an option. Let's just have a look at the rest. Let's have a look. No, I don't want to go too patterned. That one's not going to work because it's too short here. So let's just have a look. That one will work, maybe. That one will work if I want to go a bit grungy. Let's just have a look. Too dark. Let's just pull that one out. I've usually got 2 or 3 copies of each in my book. Now, I quite like this one. I've used it before on notebooks and things like that, as this is kind of like a lady's journal. This one might work. And if I put this in here, because I want to put lace down the centre of this anyway, up the right way, Kylie. So if I put that in the centre, that's going to work because my lace will cover it anyway. So let's go that one. Decision made. That wasn't hard, was it? Set those ones down. Oh, sorry. The back's really bad today. Okay, so we've decided on this one for our front cover. It does have a little bit of writing, so I need to make sure it's up the right way. But that will work. If I mark where that line is, so if I hold that up to my light, I can see where that line is, and all I'm doing, and let's have a look, bottom, so that's the top, just so I know, so that I can put my glue on this, align that so that that line is in the centre, and pop it that way. And then I can trim it up, fold it in, and all the rest. Yep, happy with that. We might just do a side at a time. So if I do this side first, and my cover, I've grabbed a brand new glue stick. I'd like to say it's because I'm prepared, but it's not. It's because I came out this morning to find that the glue stick I was working on yesterday, I forgot to do the cover up too. No lid. So, you know, these things happen. It was starting to get down anyway, so I'll give myself that. Right. So we're just going to make sure you go all the way to your edges. Because this is folded over, it's going to hold it down anyway. And when we do the inside, I'll use double-sided tape. And we'll pop some in there. Because really it's just holding it until we can get it. Might as well do the lot while we're here. It's just holding it until we can get it folded. So you can see that this is quite a corrugated card. But anything, you don't have to use books. You don't have to use chipboard and make your own ones from scratch. Have a look around your house. Look at what you've got floating around. Right. Set that one to the side. Now that was my back. Top. And I'm just going to lie that down. Hope that you're in shot. Are you in shot? Yep. And I'm going to flick it over. And I'm going to use my folder, just my scraper, just to make sure it's nicely down. And then we're going to bend it over while the glue is still slightly drying. So we'll give it our crease. And then we'll go back down this way. It's our variety. And we'll give it our crease. Okay. So let's have a look at what we've got. You see, that's going to make a beautiful front cover. Make sure that that's all on right up to my edges. All right. So this is going to be trimmed up. It makes no difference that well, I don't on this one anyway. A lot of them, if you've got white on your edges where you've printed them out and the best fit to paper still has your white border all the way around, don't worry about it when you're doing these sorts of ones, because when you fold it over, it's just going to give you a little bit more paper to fold onto, and your white's going to be covered in here anyway with your next sheet. Does that make sense? All right. I'm going to bend this over. Just going to make my marks of where they all need to go. Nice and easy. So these ones I'm going to trim down a little bit. I don't need that full, usually about an inch. So if I just sit my ruler there, because this ruler is about an inch wide, the metal ones, and then I can trim straight down. Do the same on the other side. Sit your ruler against it and trim straight down. You can see I'm not straight in there. So now I need to bend these ones up. Give them just a little bit of form. Grab my bone scorer, make sure that's nicely creased and straight because it's a long edge. And do the same on the other side. Okay, let's put the lid back on that. See, I have a habit of doing that. And I'd do it even better if I could actually find the lid. Here we go. All right. Right. So these ones are going to be bent in like so. So I've got my crease here and my crease here. So that when that creases down, I've got that in there. So just bear with me while I go right into the edge. I've gone too far with that one. So I want to go there. Line that up so that when it folds over, let's have a look now. Yep, and then I've got that. Okay, so we're just going to fold this one over. I'll go through and fold them all. Line my crease up with my cardboard at each time. Make sure that that folds up. Make sure that that folds up. Right, go to our next one. If we can see where our crease line is, there it is. Fold him. Fold him. He's not awesome. All right. Where are we? Find my crease line. There it is. It goes back there. Right. That one will fold over. And I'm just going to make a little line in there so I can see where it is. And that one will fold over. So that'll give us our actual cover. So now we're going to stick these ones down. The easiest way to do this, I find, is I'll put a little bit of glue in here just to tack those bits down. And then I'll use my double-sided tape because I want this guy nice and strong. So a little bit of glue in there. Like that. If we go straight. A little bit of glue in here. Doesn't need much. It's just to hold it down before we get our double-sided tape on. And the double-sided tape just goes back to my card making days, and I still like to use my tape. You use whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to use your normal liquid glue for your corners, you use that. And if you've got a nice strong liquid glue, use that to fold these guys all down as well. And straight. Right, so now what I'm going to do is tape all the way around here. Once again, I'm going to do the lid up on that. Tell you. Right, so I'm just using a 1/2 inch tape. I'm going back a little bit because we saw with some of them that it didn't quite match up to that perfect bit, and I don't want my double-sided tape showing. So straight down here. Bit too far. With any luck, that'll be covered enough. And then we're going to have another cover on the front of it anyway. So going there. Down along. And our last one, which was in here. And then we're going to give all that tape a really good push. So just work your way along it. Give it a nice push. All right, now you can start to peel them off. And I'm going to go around and peel all of mine off. Oh, well, at least 3 of them, and do my large sides first. I've got all that. Then there's less extra sitting out there while I work my way on my sides. Does that make sense? That's just a me thing. That's how I tend to do it. But for me, it works. So I'll do my short sides first, and then I can work my way over here, and I've not got extra sitting there. Now, don't worry if you've got tape hanging off here, because there'll be another sheet sitting in there. So nice and tight, nice and tight. Give these a crease where they're in here, because we want them to sit in. And then work your album cover back over. Okay, so that your paper will stretch around. There's the front kind of covered. Sorry, I've hit the microphone again. All right, that's because I keep having to flick my hair. I desperately need a haircut. So for me, while it's still like that, I will just that's good English. I will just put in my edges and I'm going to pop some ink actually on my folds where my spine is, even though I may cover it. I've got a couple of laces chosen, one a wide one that'll cover the entire spine, one that just goes down here, but that will cover my stitching. Okay, so there's that one. Now what I want to do is my inside cover. Now, my inside cover, we might actually go one of those grungy ones. So, let's have a look. So 2 to the side, go back to this one. And I'm thinking we might go one of these. So it can be smaller, so that's fine because it's a smaller size we're doing. We're not having to wrap it over. We'll just go this one. All right, take you out. And, oh, sorry, grab a cold drink. Right. So see how this one is quite a lot larger? I could actually get it in that way. And then I've got these down here for pockets. Make sense? So I'm going to trim off this section first. because I don't need any of the white this time, and we need to trim it to size. So that's that one. I'm going to take out my side here. Work out what size I need for this measurement. I might as well take that out now, and then it'll fit on my cutting mat here. So nice and even. Right, so I want this to sit in here. I want it right up here, in there like that. And I'm just going to put a pencil mark because I want it to finish round about there. Okay, if I sit this on my grid, do I have centimetres on this? Yeah, look at that. It just gives me extra lines, that's all. It's not that I'm now working in centimetres, it's just that it gives me extra lines. So I can sit that on this line here, on there, and hope that it's fairly straight. And then I can cut down this one. If you've got a trimmer, of course, makes it even easier, I'm sure, but you should know me by now. If you're new to my channel, then you will soon learn. I never use a trimmer. It's my blade and my ruler. Right, so that is my width. And this one's going to fit in here like so. I'm happy with that, and I'll work out a length down here. Just going to take me to about there. So we'll trim down that one again now as well. Make sure we're nice and straight. And in saying that, got a real frog in my throat. And in saying that, the actual box that you've used to start with may not be completely straight and square and all the rest, but work with what you've got. So this one's going to go in here like so. Happy with that. I'm going to ink my edges because once it's on, I can't ink them. And it just gives them a little bit of detail up there without it looking like it's meant to be the same paper. Well, that's what it does for me anyway. So I'll use my ink to prove that there is a different paper there and it's not just a collage sheet. So, but remember, inking is a personal choice. It's up to you. I like that bit up there. So this can go down straight away. And again, we're going to just glue it in place. So this is a big gluing effect. Let's see if I've got any sticky on that. No. This whole thing will need to be glued. And luckily, today it's cooler. Yesterday, my glue was drying fairly well straight away because it was 30 odd degrees. Today it's raining, a little bit humid, but we're back down to the low 20s, so I'll have time to work with a glue stick today. Making sure you especially get your edges. If you find your edges do lift up and you've missed a spot, you can go back with your liquid glue. So if we end up with some, I'll show you what I mean. Right, so this is just going to be, and because it's the glue stick and not just double-sided tape, you can manoeuvre. You've got time to do that, okay? Push that down, and I'm going to go back in a minute and fold my cover on those fold lines. So I'm just getting my bone scorer, and I'm just recreasing where they are. So I'll go both sides, just give it a little bit of a crease, and then we're just going to crease it where that is. And then I can see where I still need to push down, and you'll end up with a slightly more professional look. You'll notice I said slightly. If I look down that, can we see any spots that are lifting? Not at this stage. That all looks hunky-dory. Right, so technically, there's our cover. not hard. And you can do that with any thin box, big box, anything like that. Sheet packaging, you know when you buy sheets, bed sheets, and they come with that white folded corrugated cardboard inside. Love them. Love them. You get bigger journals, as in thicker spine, and you can trim them back because they're usually about this long folded over. You can trim them back to any size you want for a journal. So I use those whenever anyone in this house gets new sheets. The packaging is mine. Right, so here's my little bit extra that I had from this, and it's already cut to size, but I don't need that full size. What I want to do is make some pockets in this. So I'm just going to trim those down a bit. It can go all the way to the edge there, but I don't want it to go too far into the spine, so I'm going to trim it just a little bit shorter than the spine. So if I sit that there, like so, pick up the small one now, and I can just trim that down. I'm going to pop a little bit of a, what do you call it, an oval in there. Make sure I'm at the right size. That one's going to go there, that one's going to go there. That should fit it. All right, double check I'm round about even. Let's have a look. What have we got? I go about there. 1.5 is going to be about the centre. It's just a me thing. If you want to go by eye, go by eye. Right, there's my first one. I'll ink around that so that it stands out a little bit, and then I can decorate my front pocket so I can have something tucked into it, whether that's a note from the journal maker or just extra ephemera, anything like that, okay? Right, so back to our liquid glue. It's easier to get all this done before your signatures are in, I find anyway. You might find you can sew your signatures in and then put your pockets in and all the rest. But for me, I find it's easier to do all these if I'm organised enough. Got to admit, sometimes I just want to get it done and get the signatures sewn in, and then I'll go back and deal with pockets later on. But it is definitely easier to do these before your signatures are in, and it's still nice and flat, and nothing's hindering your hand or your paper or anything else. We're going to line that up there. Right, push that down there, and I'm going to squeeze that just a little bit, just so that this pocket sticks out a little bit. It makes it easier to then get things in. When they're really tight, you'll find, especially with this because it is just copy paper, if you've made this pocket really tight, it will make it hard to get anything in, and you run the risk of it tearing. All right, so here's our next one. Again, we'll go from this side. Sit that in there, like so. Again, we'll make it just a little bit smaller than where the fold is. Trim him down. Put it on the straight line. Trim him down. Might help if we pick up the knife, not the pencil. All right. Again, I will trim this. This one I've made smaller, because there's nothing like having the same size, right? Put that in there. I will ink around this, and then for me, because this is one of my journals, I like to put my K, my signature K, somewhere on the back. It's usually either, I've done it on this, if I'm not going to have a pocket, I will put it on this page before it's adhered, or if I'm going to have a pocket, then I'll pop it on my pocket. So just bear with me, and we'll put my K on there. This is my K. My husband bought this for me, I reckon, 20 odd years ago. And I hardly ever used it until I started making journals. And it is just a press, and it'll press my K into it. So I'm just going to slide that in here, and I'm going to go slightly to the side. Give it a good push. So now my K, I don't know if you can see that or not. So now my K is in there, and that's what's in my journals. And this one's going to sit in here like this. See, I've gone quite a distance away from it this time, but that's all right. So straight down, gluing exactly the same as we did before. And then our journal is ready to sew the signatures in. Now, I've covered this with paper. You could cover it with fabric, paper, anything. What else is there apart from fabric and paper? Really? Try and lift that up, Kylie. It's going to go down there, like so. I'll do that one straight. And this one I'm going to squeeze out a little bit, just so that it's got that little bit of a bubble. So again, I can tuck stuff down. So my K is there. It's not in your face or anything else, but it is just there. Right, so there's part of my cover. While it's flat, it's easier to do this. It's not necessary. Yes. You can pop these in and then do all this, but I find, again, if I'm organised, I like to do it while I can lay it down flat. All right? So what I want to do for my cover, these are all my bits that I've been using for this journal. This journal, literally, I grabbed one of these boxes, and a lot of the papers were papers that were left sitting on my larger scrap pile from the couple of journals previously. So that's, and because it was only a small one, I could use those. So, you know, I had a selection of different types of papers and stuff like that, and that's what I used. So that's why there's all sorts of different sizes in here, because it was what was on my desk. Right, I want to use these ladies in here like this, but I want some other stuff going on around them as well, and I don't want them white. So if I was, you know, doing this with patience, that's the big one, I would probably do a very light coffee wash over them. But I'm working. I don't particularly want to get up. I want to get this done. Takes a little while to dry the coffee, let alone to make the coffee, because I don't have any sitting here at the moment. So I'm going to be lazy, and I'm just using my Distress inks and oxides. So I'm just going to go down, give her a little bit of colour, which just takes that white. You might like the white. Again, if you're new to my channel, I don't do white. Don't do white clothes, don't do white paper. If you've been with me for a while, you know I don't do white. So you can see I'm just making this motley. So I'm just putting it down and giving a little bit of colour, without ripping them apart, in different areas. Okay, so it's just taken that stark out. But because of that now, they're going to disappear a little bit. So now I'm going to pick up my brushed corduroy. I should already have some on my blending foam because we've been inking. So I'm just going to go back over and give them a slightly darker effect. And now I'm rubbing really, really lightly. I'm just picking up areas because I still want that mottled, well-loved look. Okay. Now, you might pull out your pencils or your markers and colour something like this. Again, I don't usually have the patience. But if you go back, you'll see me playing around with the Uniquely Creative pencils. So I've done it again. and they worked really well. They're watercolour pencils. So this time I'm picking up my gathered twigs. These are the 3 that I have on my desk all the time. I have antique linen in an oxide. I don't mind whether it's an oxide or an ink. It was just that I couldn't get the ink at that time, so I grabbed an oxide. Same thing. For me, for what I use it for, same thing. And then I have brushed corduroy in an ink, and I have gathered twigs in an ink. And sometimes if I run out of that and I haven't got another one, I'll use walnut stain. So my gathered twigs and my walnut stain tend to be either or, and I really don't mind which ones they are. So what I'm doing here is just giving her an edge, like a burnt edge in places. So I'm getting a little bit thicker, just so that she stands out, or both girls stand out. So if I go like this, I get that really deep look. So it's not going in everywhere. If I wanted it to go everywhere, I'd need to use one of these sorts of ones, but then it's going to give me a softer effect as well. You could use your little foam dabbers, you know, your little finger ones. But I find these days with my arthritis and all the rest, they're a bit hard to use. So again, it's a personal choice. It's what works for you. Play around with what you've got. You will get the same effect with so many different tools that you don't necessarily have to have the exact same tools as what you're watching on YouTube, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else. Play around with what you've got. Yes, it's nice to get brand new shiny tools all the time, but let's face it, a lot of us can't afford that, and we tend to buy indiscriminately all the time. You know, oh, I like that, got to have that, got to have that. And I know, I've done it myself. It's so much in this room that I've never touched or picked up. So now I've just darkened them up. So just use some of the things you've got. Play around, get that effect with something else. Whoop, I just need to wipe that before I set my cover on. Right. And I'm just going to put that one back because it's more of a saviour for my books. So see how they're now standing out. They're a little bit different. I've got some other ladies here that these have just come from a catalogue type thing. So you can see what they were. Okay? Well, different ladies, but you can get the guess. So that's how they looked. That's how they look now. Now, if I want, I can put some splatters on them to give them some older looks. Let's have a look. Let's go the whole hog, will we? I don't splatter well. I get it everywhere. So I'm just going to move some things over. My inks also, because they sit on my desk all the time, are permanently covered in splatters. So I just want to go with sepia, I think. Walnut stain. Gathered twigs. Tea dye. Brushed corduroy. Where are you? You've got to be there. Vintage photo. Let's just go a vintage photo. But what I'm going to do is I'm just tapping that just to give them some, just a few. Right, that's all I want. It's just a little bit extra on them. So I've got that sitting up there. Now I will lift these ladies up again, if I can. And I will wipe all of that. That was a fairly good effort, Kylie. All right, so they're going to take a while to dry, and you can sit there and wait for them to dry, or if you want to, you can just pat them out, okay? If you don't have patience like me, you can just pat those out. All right, you can either use a heat gun or you can pat them out. Just a little bit of paper towel, and it just hurries up that drying process, and you've just got them like that. All right, so back to our cover, back to this one. And I want, of course, I want a little bit of paper. I want something going on. I had some flowers pulled out that I thought I might colour, but I'm going to run out of room, I reckon. I'll do the rest. I'll get my newspaper. So let's have a look. Just here in my basket of goodies. In my basket of goodies. There we go. I've got my old newspaper. And I want something like this. So let's just tear down there. I just want it kind of behind them. So if I take that down there, yes, I know I'm going too far in. And I'm going to tear along that one as well. So that's just going to sit in here like so. I cannot pick these girls up. Just to give it, I don't want it so straight. Mind you, this one will just tear anyway because it is so old. And we'll tear that bottom piece. So that's not a cut edge. Sitting that down there. Sit in there, love. Yep, I like that. And again, I'm just going to give it that burnt look. So I'm just going to, and many times I'll talk to you and I'll say, when you go to ink something, do it like so. Don't rub straight up and down because it cuts your blending tool. So don't listen to anything I say because what I want is a burnt edge. So my blending tool is, as in my foam, is starting to go now anyway. I've got a dodgy one. So what I'm actually doing is running it down there. So what it does, see how it makes it look like it's been in a fire, so it's burnt? So if you use a really dark ink, it'll give it that burnt look. And I'm just going down the edge. I don't particularly want it further in. I just want it scraped along that edge. Like so. So then we've got this burnt piece of newspaper sitting behind my ladies. So all up there. Love the colour of this paper. Right, there we go. So now look at the difference when I sit it on. See how it looks like it's been burnt and they're the burnt edges where I've torn it? So we'll stick that one on because I know I want it there straight up. Do watch when you're using very old newspapers, etc., that they don't tear too much. You can have a little bit of torn again, because let's face it, it's all torn anyway, but you don't want it too much torn. So you've just got to watch when you lift it up from your glue, book, paper, etc. And I'm just going to sit that in there like that, just anyway, very gently like that. And again, when you do your scraper, don't give it a really good push, as in just lightly work your way over it like that. Now my ladies, they're going to sit down here like that. I like them there. I'm thinking, I really think those flowers are going to be too big. What did I do with them? There they are. There are some real little ones in here. We'll just pull them all out. Right. And again, I will colour these. I don't mind that, actually. I want lace down there, and I'm thinking, so I'm just going to have a, these are the two laces I've pulled out, or three laces. So I've got that one that's just going to go down my centre. That actually quite works with it, doesn't it? The other one I thought of, this one was the wider one. So these are all the natural cotton ones. They're going to be darker. Don't know if I like that down there now or not. What was my other one I pulled out? So the natural cotton ones I find are double-edged. I keep saying double-sided, but it's double-edged. So your standard laces, let's pull out a standard lace. Here we go. Oh, I've got one sitting over here. I've got 2 or 3 sitting over here. Right. Standard lace. Doesn't matter what width. See how they're single-edged? A lot of your natural thick cotton type laces are double-edged. It may not be the same, but it's got more of an edge. So they work really well with your spines. I don't mind that one on there. I like that better than the other one, actually. So either or of those will work, won't they? For once I've sewn it in. We're almost at the point where we're going to sew it in. Just bear with me. Right, so how about some of my standard, because I like this everywhere, and I've always got this sitting on my desk. So some of this maybe, I like those. In there like that. Okay, and that, and that, and that. They're going to go further down. A little bit of that in there. And then maybe a word down there. How's that? That'll work, won't it? Right. So, this is this one. I'm going to pop a little bit of double-sided tape here and a little bit of double-sided tape here. The rest of it will be glue. The double-sided tape, I'm going to sit down, which will sit on that. If that makes sense. I hope you know what I mean. All right. All right, a little bit there. No nails, I can't do that. And a little bit there. Ah, oh, tell you. Right. So that and that will cover that. And that one. And that one. And we're going to sit you back in there, wasn't it? So I'm just very lightly sitting it down, giving it a little bit of a push, but what it's done, see, is picked up my cheesecloth. Which way does that go? Right. So now I can just use my glue, and I'm going to use this glue to make sure that it's all down and my cheesecloth is picked up. So all this will go down, and it needs to be fairly well down because this is your front cover. So it's going to get handled, it's going, you know, it'll get more use or more touching than your other ones, than all your inside pages and your signatures and everything else. So we want to make sure we've got quite a bit. I'm going to use some fabric glue over where the cheesecloth is. Ah, look at that. Not multi-talented at all. I can't do and talk at the same time. And I know there'd be so many of my friends that would say that's impossible because I could talk underwater. But, all right, that's that. Give you over there. And I'm going to pop a little bit of fabric glue where that cheesecloth is. So, finding a spot to hang on to. And I'm just going to run it down. Because it's tacky, the fabric glue, it's like hot glue gun. Right. If I need to go back, I can squeeze my normal glue back in there if there's any spots that are held up. So now I just got to work out where I want them to go, because once they're down with that fabric glue, they're down. About there, well, that's where it's going. Push her down. Got some fabric glue there. That'll rub off in a minute when it dries. How's that? All right, so that one I know I need to put some stuff under. That one I can, once that's all dry, I can scrape that off. That's the only problem with the fabric glue. It does tend to want to come out, but leave it until it's dry. Try not to do what I was just doing and scraping it everywhere. So this little guy needs some glue. And then I can push that one down. Right. There you go. That's all pushed down. Now our flowers. This is going to be a long one, sorry guys. What are we up to? 51 minutes. Am I going to get it all done in 9 minutes? Sorry. These ones I want to pop some colouring on. So again, I'll move that one out of the way, move that one out of the way and go back onto my glass mat. Shuffle all that to the side because that's what that's for. That one for that. That's for that one. Right, so a couple of different ways you can do this. So let's go again into, what about the tea dye? No, that's brush corduroy, Kylie. Where do I have my tea dye? There it is. I'm just making a puddle. If I can get it out, because it's getting low. Here we go. Oh, it is getting very low. Here we go. I don't want to hold it up too far because I'm going to go everywhere with it. Right. So, if I pick this up. Now, these are paper flowers. So, they will pick up the colour. If you want to, get a brush. Let's get a brush. Let's get a brush. Do I have a brush just here? Now, we'll stand up my seat will creak. I want. There we go. That one will do. Now, I could have sprayed the entire flower, but if I do that, the little stamen will get covered as well. So I just want to give this a mottled effect. And I could have done this with the inks. Could have just made a puddle with my ink. You know, squished my ink down, added some water to it. But if I've got my spray sitting there, I might as well use it. And my tea dye, of course, is on the other side of the room in the ink. So I'm going to go around there now. Into there. You can see it sopping it up because they are paper flowers. If you've got paper flowers and they're a lighter colour, you can change them to any colour you want. Alright, so I'm going to give them a tea dye one to start with, and then I'm going to go over them with a darker colour on the edges because I don't like the tea dye. Make sense? And doing it this way than just spraying the whole thing will mean that they will dry quicker because they're not quite as wet as if you sop them completely with a spray or chuck them completely in there. So around my stamen, And then we're going to go there. Okay. That's that one. How about we make this one a different colour to start with? So if I now get gathered twigs is going to be a bit too dark. Let's just try our brushed corduroy. I'm just going to go there. They don't like going too far sideways because you can see I use these ones all the time. Come on. No, we're not going to use brushed corduroy. I could again do it in my... How about, what have we got up here? Gathered twigs, vintage photo. Vintage photo is a nice colour. Right. Let's just have a look. It's very dark. I'm doing very dark in there. Again, if you've got markers, you can colour them in with your alcohol markers, things like that. Your Copics, Spectrum Noir, I don't know, there's so many brands of markers. They're easy to do with them as well. Now, I don't want my stamen done, so I'm going to need to lift those guys up as I go into that one. Should really water this down, I'm thinking. She says as she just keeps going. Right, let's just put a little bit of water with that one. Hasn't lightened it up any, but it does make it quicker. Sorry, I reckon I was way off shot then, wasn't I? All right, and that one. So see how it's soaking it up better now. A little bit of water added. I've missed bits under there. Right. So now I want a little bit of vintage photo, just occasionally in there. I don't know why I do tea dye. I'm not a great lover of the tea dye in the distress range, which is weird because I use tea and tea dye all my laces and do all that, but in the distress range I've never been a great lover of it. So I have it in the ink and I have it in the spray, and I think I may even have it in the embossing powder, but I've never been a great lover, and I never remember that until I go to use it. Right, so where's that cloth? Yes, I know, that's a waste. It's all right. Clean all that. Okay, put that one away. That one away. Put the lid on that one before you spill it, Kylie. Grab that one back out again. Grab that one. So if I've got that down there as well. Not overly keen with those stamen now. I might have to go back in with a marker and just yellow them up a little bit. My markers are right down there, so that's not going to happen during this video type thing. I am going to stick them on, and I'm going to use my fabric glue. This, as I said before, it's like a hot glue gun, and it'll stick these guys right down. So put a dollop in there first. Hold on to that just while it takes. Or not. Why is that not taking? Put it on that then. And hang on to it while it dries. Move it up, Kylie, so it's not completely on her head. Beautiful. Right, so we've got our little ones. Oh, I've got so much glue now. that one up there, and I want that one up there. I don't mind if they come off the page a little bit, off the page, off the album. Right, so hanging on to that one. And then we've got this one. And we're going to sew our signatures in. Promise. I promise, I promise, I promise. And if you can hear my stomach rumbling, I'm sorry. Ah, look at me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. All right. Lovely. Sit there and dry while I work this one out. So what I'm going to do is grab, all right, piece of manila. This is my journal, and it goes to there. So I'm just going to chop that off there. Keeping that nice and straight, and I can make a template so that I can see that everything will fit in, because I have different size papers, etc. So, right. So that's that one. We need to make it now the same depth. So if I set that there, that's in the crease. That's where my crease is. These ones are about an inch anyway. So, yep, so that's a little bit less than an inch. I've gone there and not there, is what I've done. So let's go back over to that one. There's my fold. Okay. Popping this one on here. And down with that. Down there. Down there. Right. Oh, I've been over an hour. I'm sorry, peoples. This one's going to take a while to upload, won't it? It's too wide. Trim a little bit off. You're far better off to make it too wide and trim it off bit by bit. And getting your full size. All right. Right. I'm going to take one tiny little bit more off, just so that I can all right, so let's see what this guy is, and we will mark down the centre so I know where I'm going. So we're under an inch now, so if I go there and there, that'll give me my centre at halfway. And down here as well, centre at halfway. And I'm just going to rule that so I can see where my centre line is. Not that I'm using my centre line, and I need to sharpen my pencil. It's always wise when you're marking templates, use a sharp pencil, otherwise you get too big a line. That's a bit better. Sit you down. So this is the full length of our journal, but if we look at our signatures, here's my signatures. So this is my first signature. This would probably be the shortest I've got in here. So it's 5 3/4. I would say that would be, hang on, what's that one? 5 3/4 as well. So yes, and my other one would be, I think they're all bigger ones. That one's not, because it just needs to be in the centre. Yep, Right, so 5 3/4. So if I go and find my centre mark, I always like my centre. This should be about 7, shouldn't it? Yeah, because that's what our journal was. So 3.5 is our centre. If I sit that there. And then I can rule that all the way across. Get rid of the big ruler, Kylie. Right, that's my centre mark. So we're going to be here and here. So that's my half. I want it about there. I don't want it dead smack in the centre, because what happens then is you've got a small gap here and a large gap there. Does that make sense? You can sit there and measure them and do all the rest. You can just go by eye. But when you're doing that, don't make these ones the centre of your centres. You want to go in a little bit. So I'm going 1/8 of an inch over that way. And I'm going about 1/8 of an inch over that way. So here's my signature. And here's my signature. So what I've ended up with, 2/8 of an inch, 2/8 of an inch, 2/8 of an inch. Makes sense. Right, so 5 3/4 was what I had all together for my shortest ones. If I mark that there and mark that there, so I've just gone by eye. So it's a half and it's 3/4. Better go down a little bit. There and there. So I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch. Oh, go there, Kylie. 5/8 of an inch. So 5/8 of an inch down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch. And I'm going to change them anyway, because I want to go to make sure I catch those. So 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5/8 of an inch. I need to go above those lines. So that's my line. And I know I can't go past this point. So I'm going up here. And I know that way I will capture everything. So again, with this one, this is where I can't go past. Can't go past here. So I'm going to drop it down a little bit. And I'm going to go to that point. Okay, this is my top. And we said we had 2/8 of an inch either side. Two eighths. Oh, I went that way. So I'm here. And I'm here. And I'm, yeah, that's what it was. It wasn't 2/8. It's 3/16 or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't know. All right, there's my holes. That's my template for this one. Now, you could keep your template, but the chances of you doing exactly the same one again is null and void, really. So we're going to mark our holes in here, lining this up, lining it up, sitting it in there so that it's nice and straight. Okay, we'll pop our holes in that one. And when they're going all the way through, what I actually like to do, and make sure that that's spot on, is just lightly make the mark. See how it's just come through? Because I will then take them from the other side. So try not to be too heavy-handed. And that one. And up here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Am I too far down? There is no other way to show you this. And I've just... Yep. I moved my template. So just make sure your lines, your holes are matched up again. Right, so see how they're only just here? What I want to do is go this way, so that they're not sticking out on the outside. Even though I'm putting lace in them, or over them. That one. And that one. Right, so now we're going to do the same with our signatures. So to start with our signatures, you need to find the centre. There's my centre. And I'm going to start aligning these so that they're nice and evened as I go. Now this one is only going to get one in the centre, okay? That one. And that one. I like mine centred, so, and that one's a full one. So opening up my centre again, getting some clips. Like so. Now I'm going to sit my template down if I can find it. All right, that was my top. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to line this one up so that we're even. I've got an even amount coming out from there to there. Does that make sense? And I'm going to follow that line down and just put a pencil mark. So what I should end up with is 3 little pencil marks in here. Again, that's just a foam prick mat. There's lots of other things you can get. There's little box things and all sorts of things, but I just use prick mat that I had from years ago when I had brads that we were using in card making and scrapbooking and stuff like that. So I put you in. It's always good to see. It just gives you the warm and fuzzies if you've actually got it in the right spot. If you haven't, there's nothing really you can do about it. You've already got it there. But if it's there, it gives you the warm and fuzzies. Alright, so I always just check. Look at that, 3, dead on the line. Love it. So that's 1. I'll make the mark in this one and then we'll sew them both in. So, I need to go to my centre one, this one, and then I've got this one, and I've got this one, just about there, and this one. You can see it doesn't have many pages in each signature. And right here, and then we'll clip that one as well. Right, so 2 more clips in the centre, which is can't get it. There it is, there it is, there it is. There's my centre. Right, so we'll clip you there, and we'll clip you. I can't find another little one. I'll just use one of these. You can use paper clips if you like. You can use whatever you've got floating around. Right, so once again, we'll do the same. That was my top, sitting it in so that it's evened over from that to that, top to bottom. And we're going to make our pencil marks again down from this line, which is why we put the line all the way down. So there's our line there. There's our line there. And this one, which you're probably not going to be able to see because my hand is there. There's your line there. So now we've got our 3 little dots in there. So this is just a basic 3-hole pamphlet stitch that we're going to do. That one. That one. Oh. And that one. Lovely. So I just want to make those a little bit bigger so that my needle will go through nice and easy. Leaving them clipped keeps them all nicely together, and we can start sewing these in. So I won't need that bit anymore. Won't need that one anymore. What I need now is a needle. Usually go that one. And I'm just using my crochet and knitting cotton. It's a 4-ply, so it's nice and it's got a lot of strength in it. So what we want to do when we're doing these ones is round about 3 lengths of your journal. You've then got room to trim them up, but it gives you enough room to start with. So chop that off. You could keep it all attached and then you trim it off exactly where you are, but I've already got so much on my desk it's not funny. My hands are filthy, as per normal. Right, so I'm going from the outside because I'm going to tie them off and then my lace is going to cover them. So we'll start on the outside. I'm going my back one first, because let's face it, that will be the easier one because it's not actually what's the word I want? It hasn't been embellished or anything else yet, so let's see where we're going. There it is. So, coming from our centre, pull him through, hang on to him if you need to. Go down or go up, it's up to you. So I've gone straight through, go down to my bottom hole on my right-hand side, because this is the right-hand signature. Lovely dovely. Coming out this one, we can tighten it all back up in a minute. And up into this one. And these only ever go right when you're not on video, okay? It's so much easier when you're not trying to film these. See, I've nearly lost that because I let go. Get my edge out. Right, so I've gone all the way up now. Okay, and now I'm going to go back down my centre hole. So through that one, and then through this one without catching my thread. And I want to go the other side of this thread line. Okay, pull out my excess. Take my needle off. Now I want to tighten it up so that it really twangs. So I've got one on one side, one on the other. Give him a pull and then see if you've got a good twang. See how that's what you want. It's like tuning a guitar. This one I want a little bit more, which is that one. Right, now when we tie them off, we're just going to tie a double knot. So go one way, right, and then go the other way so that it's, I don't know, is it a granny knot? Something like that. Okay, nice and tight. So now I've got a good twang. That's not going. Look at how tight that is in there. So now we'll do our other one. And what I'm going to do with our clips is I'm just going to clip the two of those together now to keep them out of my way. So now with our other one, we need some thread again. Round about. Let's face it, look how much is on this roll. Don't fret. Okay. Nope. My hands are so gluey, I might need to actually, nope. Trim that section off that I've just had in my gluey hands. Right, so exactly the same thing. So we're going to start from the outside edge, straight through. We're going to get our, making sure you're up the right way, especially if you've already started to decorate these. Straight through. Okay, down. Like that, into that bottom hole. Move that because I'm getting caught in it. All right. So I can pull this one. Make sure I've got something to hang on to. Pull that one tight. Going all the way up again now in that hole. And then in those ones, like so. Pulling them all the way up. Get rid of those ones because I haven't trimmed them off yet. That's my other tail for this one. Pulling it tighter. Going back down this one. And we want to go on the other side of that, remember? So we're going to go through here. We can see where we are without catching that thread. So I can pull that so I can see that I haven't caught that thread. All right, and now we're going to tighten it up again. So I'm going to get rid of my needle. Put it away so I can find it next time. And I've got that one. And that one we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we're going to give them a little bit of tightness. See, that's too loose. You can see when they're too loose. Pull this. We're just going to work on them. So I'm just pulling a little bit, easing a little bit. I'm going to hang on to both of those now. Here now, you've got a good twang. So now we're going to tie our knot again. We've got one either side of that. So one way. Right. Okay. So they're now both in. I can get rid of all my clips. There's our journal. Okay. All ready to do our second signature. And if we look in here, that's the gap between our signatures. So we've got fairly even, fairly even, fairly even. Make sense? Now the only thing left to do is pop our lace down here. So what I like to do, let's just open this guy back out again. Lay him flat. I like to pop a drop of glue, and I'm going to use the other glue. I've got a new one here that I haven't started, and that's what I keep grabbing for. So I like to pop a drop of glue when I'm not putting dangles on these. So if I just want to trim these off so that they're hidden under the lace, I will pop glue just because I know my knots are tight, but, you know, you can never be too sure. So that's that one. Now we can trim these off while they're drying. If you've got a sharp pair of scissors, that means you can get right down, all the better. Otherwise, wait for it to dry and then go in. These are the new Uniquely Creative scissors, and I just love them. Right, so now we want to pop this on. See how it covers up our stitching now? So I'm going to chop this guy. No, I'm not. That's wasteful, Kylie. I'm going to go that way. I'm going to start it down here. I'm going to go up, but I'm debating about whether when I put it on, I'm going to chop it higher, and then I might trim further down later on, because I'm just debating. Because if it's higher, I've got some nice little holes here. I could still put a jump ring with a dangle on it or something like that. Okay? If you're putting one of the actual, like the Tim Holtz jump rings to put your dangles on, you really need to do them, I find, if you're doing a hidden spine, because otherwise you see the brad bit through your signatures on the other side. Right, so really I need my fabric glue straight up the centre of that. So here we go. Wow, this is a long one. Anyone still with me? Maybe I should cut it in two. Now, where's the fun in that? You can just keep coming back to it. Right, so fabric glue's going all the way up. It's back over that knot as well. All right, all the way up between that, right up to here. Over that. Because my lace that's going on, and I need to make sure it's down there, has little bits of holes in it, you know, it's meant to. I want to stick to that main solid part anyway. So let's face it, I'm so gluey now it's not funny. I'm going to go in the centre, and I'm just going to carefully push so that I can straighten the lace out as I go. There you go. Right, so at this stage I'm just going to trim that off a little bit higher. I'm going to go actually up there, because then if I want, I could fold that down there like that, couldn't I? So I can get into the top of my signatures. I know I should have thought about this prior. There's so much glue on me now, it's not funny. But I could fold it down, and I'm just going to debate about that once this dries. While this is drying, I can't really do any more. So we've seen now from a standard little box how to do our cover and how to sew in our signatures. I hope you've got something from it. I hope you're still with me. Wasn't meant to be this long, but come on, girls, you know me now anyway. And there's really not a lot that I can cut out. So I hope you stay with me with this. We will see how well this uploads. I'll schedule it for later on, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I love these little journals. Play around with different sizes. They are so much fun. All right. Thank you very much for that, guys. Thanks for hanging around. Till next time, happy crafting. Bye.